Item number 16 through 20.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Leslie Gould, and I'm the Executive Director of the Lynn Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm here with several of my board members this evening. I'd like to introduce
Phil Willett, Board of Directors.
Tasso Nikolakopoulos, Board of Directors.
Thank you very much. The Lynn Area Chamber of Commerce, representing over 500 businesses in Lynn, strongly opposes any changes to the current MBTA bus routes that will affect commuters in and around this city. We represent 7,000 employees. For both businesses and residents, access to Lynn at all points in the city is extremely vital. With over 3,000 businesses in the city alone, many of their employees rely on daily public transportation. Not to mention the fact that there are always those hiccups, as I call them, in life. Your car will break down. Someone else will need the car, etc., etc., etc. You come under circumstances where you will need your car to get to work or get to a business that you want to frequent. As the 9th largest city in the Commonwealth, Lynn deserves to have a public transportation system that can service the 90,000 plus residents and the thousands of people that do come into the city. In the current recession and the increase of gas prices, public transportation is essential to the quality of life for both businesses and the residential community. We, again, at the Lynn Area Chamber of Commerce, are absolutely opposed to any of the changes, and we ask you to look for other solutions. And we thank you for your time and consideration this evening. Thank you.
Very much.
Hi, I'm Mary Margaret Moore, Executive Director, Independent Living Center of the North Shore KPN, the voice for people of all ages with all types of disabilities, live or work or want to live or work in the 25 communities from Melrose to Gloucester. I spoke in Salem, and I'll say it again here tonight. What's being proposed is unfair, poorly thought out, and poorly coordinated, but most importantly, it's a breach of faith with the disability community. When we first put in the ride, and there was one rate for all people with disabilities in every community served by the T. For today in 2012, after over 20 years, that cannot be broken because of mismanagement and poor coordination. In addition, there are already thousands of people wanting to get free of nursing homes. We've freed folks from Danvers State. We've freed folks from Hogan. We've freed folks from all the institutions, and we've freed the folks who want not to be involuntarily incarcerated by putting in place community-based care. There is no community-based care without the workers. And the workers cannot get to their jobs if you do these cuts. So, my challenge is, you're all only temporarily able-bodied, because you're either going to get a disability, or you're going to age and be functionally disabled. We cannot allow these changes to go through with that kind of a value base, which breaks the rules that were agreed to and destroys the workers who want to get access. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're on 16 to 20. And again, if you can't, if for any reason you need a mic brought to you, please just raise your hand and we'll bring the mic to you.
Hello, my name is Brenda Clark, and I live in the city of Lynn. And I'm a senior, and I'm a person on disability who needs the ride to go to my appointments, my doctor's appointments, which are very important. Now, I think what the MBTA could do, instead of trying to cut, make us pay more for the ride. They need to look at the ride system and overhaul that system, because there are people who are old, I know that, but They should not be taking the ride to go to bars. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Well, this lady is speaking. If I could get 21 to 25 to walk down, please. And again, if you need us to bring the mic, please raise your hand. We'll bring you a mic.
Good evening. I'm sorry, I have laryngitis. I'm speaking as loud as I can.
She's trying to speak. She's speaking as loud as she can. She has laryngitis, so let's all try to be a little quieter.
My name is Amy Drinker. I live in Marblehead, and I don't get this. I thought public transportation was a fundamental reason that we have a commonwealth to provide services that the people need. If you reduce the public transportation in cities like Lynn and communities like Nahan and Marblehead, then we have no numbers to indicate that we have ridership. And once we've lost our bus service, we've lost the only public transportation we have. This is how people get to work, how they come to Marblehead for work, and how our students get to Marblehead as well in the METCO program, and our students within the town who use public transportation. If this is a revenue shortfall situation, then I challenge the legislators and the administration, the Patrick administration, to sit down with the MBTA and address the revenue shortfall and not take this out on the backs of the people who try to use public transportation and keep the costs overall of transportation down by not using their cars. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now on numbers 21 through 25.
My name is Judy Gates, and I live in Marblehead, Massachusetts. And I just want to say that I'm here in support of maintaining the routes to our community. I moved to that community in 1965 with 2 other girls without a car and dependent on public transportation as a young person. I've lived there for almost 50 years. Now, it's pretty evident I'm a senior citizen, and I continue to rely on that public transportation for different reasons now, but still value it deeply, and also for all those who are in my community and on the North Shore. I hope that the MBTA will, I hope, be more creative in how they solve this problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Judy Jacoby. I'm a member of the Board of Selectmen in Marblehead, and wanted to make the mention of the fact that the Marblehead Selectmen took a unanimous vote to object to any cut in service for routes 441, 442, 448, or 449. I thought I'd use my time to read some of the comments that people have emailed me or called and couldn't be here tonight. 1, eliminating the express bus would add at least another hour to my commute. Another, for many of us, the bus is not an alternate method of transportation to Boston or Vinton Square. It's the only method of transportation. Without the bus, I wouldn't know how to get to work. Someone else, I have a degenerative eye condition that doesn't make it safe for me to drive. The bus is my lifeline to work. Another, in recent years, service has already been cut for us. No Haymarket service on weekends and substantial cuts on weekdays. Another, terminating service at Wonderland would provide a terrible hardship for me. One Saturday, it took me longer to get from Back Bay to Marblehead than it did to get from New Haven, Connecticut to Boston via Amtrak. So I would just say that also 17% loss is not insignificant. And just a quick comment on revenue. I go to Boston quite often, and when I ride the Green Line, it's amazing how many people jump on free in the back doors. So I think that's a good thing.
Hi, my name is Kathleen Leonardson. My name is Kathleen Leonardson, and I'm here representing the Marblehead School Committee. Last week, we voted to oppose the proposed cuts in MBTA service to Marblehead because it would negatively affect our students that ride the bus. Maybe you didn't think about that. In some cases, our students use the bus for in-town transportation, but in addition, of greater concern to us, many of our METCO students with homes in the Boston area utilize the MBTA bus service after participating in after-school activities. So Marblehead is a long-standing supporter and participant in this MEDCO program because of its benefits to our students' experience of learning. We urge you to take action to prevent these drastic cuts which have a negative impact on our students, particularly our MEDCO students who we value. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And again, we're still at numbers 21 through 25.
My name is John Walke. I work with an organization called Transportation for America. We do a lot of advocacy work around getting funding for the public good that is public transit and for strengthening our transportation system as a whole. And I think Senator McGee said tonight that this is more than the MBTA, and I think a lot of the testimonies we're hearing when we talk about people aging in place and aging in your home and you need to get around, we're hearing very good testimony here. We hear it at all these hearings. We're going to them in Lowell and at Attleboro. It's the same story, and it's the same story outside of where the MBTA is. So these fare hikes and service cuts they're proposing fill in a gap for 1 year, but we still have a problem for our entire transportation system. And it's going to happen to elders and the disabled everywhere across the state. We need to have a solution for this. And the solution is going to come from any of the folks here. They may have some ideas, but they can't pass any legislation that will raise revenue. They can fire everyone. We could, sell their organs in the black market. We still won't have enough money to fill in and to pay off the debt that we have. And to address the issues not only with the MBTA, but we haven't even discussed what Mass Highway has in their budget in terms of issues to resolve. So this is something that needs to be tossed to your legislators. Some of them were here tonight. Give them a call, start harassing them, tell them you need a solution. And it's not just the folks here in Lynn. You've got Senator McGee who's on the committee to resolve these issues, but you also need to reach out to friends and family who live around the state and let them know to call their representatives, call their senators. This is a problem for the entire Commonwealth, and the solution has to be something that works for everyone in the Commonwealth. So if it's something on the gas tax, if it's something on a payroll tax, if it's somewhere out there, it's going to be a combination, a little bit of everything, where we all got to pay into it. It shouldn't be just one group getting screwed by this, but it should definitely not be seniors, disabled, and students getting screwed just for the short term, and we're going to have the same problem again next year. So, okay, thank you. So call your legislators.
Thank you. Now it's numbers 26 to 30. Would you make your way over while this lady is speaking, please?
All right, can you hear me? I'm Don May of Lynn, Massachusetts. Now, I've been riding these trains and buses for over 25 years. 2 weeks ago, I got kicked off the train. Why? Because I didn't have my handicap card. I may not look handicapped, right? I look young compared to you old folks. Well, I'll take this card right here, my husband's card. I'll take this $1 million bet right here that him and I will go on that bus tomorrow and he'll get a free ride. Why? Because their employees don't check nothing. Okay? And I've gotten free rides even when I was working. Alright, so let's take that bet while I go to Salem Hospital tomorrow. Okay? You and I. And see how much your employees don't check. Because they're going to look at you. Oh, you're elderly. Because you're a lot older than I am. I'm younger. I'm handicapped.
Thank you, ma'am. Numbers 26 to 30, please.
Hello, my name is Brenda Arnold, and I'm a representative from the board of the Old Marblehead. I'm from Marblehead. I live in Marblehead, and I'm on the board of the Old Marblehead Improvement Association, and our board unanimously is opposed to the cuts to our service. Our service is in the historic district. We are at the end of the line of 441 and 442, and a lot of us use it. A lot of the workers that come to serve our stores also use it, and we strongly hope that you find another solution to the problem. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Laura Scalise, and I'm the administrator and the owner of the Jesmond Nursing Home in Nahant, and we're also the largest employer for the Nahant community. We have a 57-bed facility with 65 employees. We need the public transportation for our employees to get to work. We need the family members to come visit the residents with public transportation, as well as we need the ride to come into town to not only take the residents at my facility, but the other elders in our town to be able to go to their appointments and to go shopping. And the last reason we need to have public transportation in Nahant is to have other people who are living in Nahant, students and workers who need to go get public transportation for their jobs, to leave the town of Nahant, to go to Boston and Lynn to be able to work. Presently, our workers come from Peabody, Linfield, and they take 2 and 3 buses to go to their jobs every single day. And so we're asking the MBTA to do this. The two ways I would think that they could look at to do cost cutting is have smaller buses maybe coming to Nahant if we have smaller numbers. And the other thing is really look into corporations and try and partner with corporations who are in the community and in the area in order to get funds for the MBTA to be funded to help all our residents. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Mary Sweeney. I live in Lynn. And I just want to run you through an experience. A few years back, I had a Charlie card. I took the bus from Central Square in Lynn to Wonderland, $1.25. Took the subway in, 45 cents transfer. Okay, right. Return trip, take $1.70 on the subway, free transfer back. All right, then something happened. And the software, hardware at Wonderland didn't work anymore. So I got $1.25 bus fare in and a free ride all the way into Boston and beyond, wherever I wanted. And then $1.70 to return. Okay. Now I'm a senior. Oh, by the way, I did write to you people, MBTA, Department of Transport, and the governor to report that this malfunctioned. And I talked to your people. I never got a reply, acknowledgement from anyone. Nobody ever picked up anything. You know the story about the lottery where the guy wants to win the lottery, and finally God bends down and says, you gotta buy a ticket. Well, you gotta collect the fare. You gotta fix the machine.
Thank you, ma'am. And now she's getting ready to speak. If numbers 31 through 35 could make their way down, please.
First of all, I am here because I have 2 daughters who work in the mall in Danvers, and they have to depend on the bus to get to their work and back home. They work in the stores. The stores don't close until 10 o'clock, and they also work weekends. And it would be very, very hard for them to get home. They do not have a car, access to a car. One, her husband is a disability, and he cannot drive. Secondly, and I'm going to make it fast, another thing too, I'm 76 years old. I take the ride bus also. And that helps me to do some of my shopping because I'm not getting any younger and sometimes I have a hard time with my legs. So I really need that ride bus sometimes to get myself going, to go in and out, to do shopping or to go to the doctors or go different places. And I'm just hoping that that doesn't stop or cancel. And as far as the weekends too, sometimes people do need to go to work on the weekends, and back to the public transportation. Again, my children will not have no ride to work, and they have to support themselves. They have a rent to pay, which is very, very high. So I'm hoping that we can keep the transportation. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And again, on 31 through 35, please. Here, sir. Here. Just sit down. Just sit down.
I'm fine here. This is fine. The concern I have, I don't look disabled, but I can only stand for a few minutes, and I can only walk 100 meters without sitting down. And so I don't get a doctor's note even. I can't even convince the doctors that I'm as sick as I am. The problem for me, though, is I can make it on the things the way they are now, but after you cut these services that you're talking about, it'll make it harder and longer each trip. And although I would still be able to get to Lynn, to get to some of the areas that I need to go to would be more difficult. So I'm not ready for the ride yet, but I will be in a not too distant future. In talking with Mr. Walkie, who spoke a few moments ago, he can give some testimony as to the differences between this system and others around us in other communities. One of the big problems is this is a farce. To have tied the transit service to the debts that it's tied to is not part of any other system that you're comparing to. When you say you have $5.2 billion in debt, it's because you're not counting apples and oranges the same way as other transit systems. You need to reassess your total finance. We learned the other night on TV that in the PBS channel that in the old Greek forum, you had to sacrifice an animal and bring the animal's parts to the stage when you testified, and that's where the word comes from. And you need to grow some and go talk to the legislature more seriously.
We've talked about selling my items on the black market. Now we've told me to grow some. So I think we're done with the references to my anatomy.
Hello, and thank you for being here tonight. I'm Lainey Titus. I'm the chair of the Nahant Board of Selectmen, and I'm joined here tonight by my fellow board members, Mike Manning and Richie Lombard. We're not going to read our whole testimony. We'll submit that to the MBTA for your review. But we're here in opposition to the proposed elimination of Route 439, which is the only public transportation in the town of Nahant. Eliminating this bus route would completely eliminate any public transportation in the town. Obviously, this is a major concern to our residents who use this to reach their jobs, their doctor's appointments, and also the children of the town use it after school. In addition to, as Maura had testified, employees that come to town to work. This would leave no options. I know in your proposal you had stated that people would look to other options. For these people that use this bus service, this is their only option. So we ask that the MBTA look at other means to save money, perhaps looking at smaller vehicles. We know our ridership numbers are low, but to eliminate it completely would be devastating, and so we'd look to do maybe smaller vehicles. And also, I know one of the residents that contacted me, we have heard from many, suggested lining up the bus times with the commuter rail times in Lynn. Right now, they just missed the bus or just missed the train. If you could time those up, you could possibly increase ridership. So we ask you to take a look at this again, and this would be completely devastating for those people working and living in the town of Nahant. Thank you.
I just have one thing to say. Have you thought about meeting with the governor about the casino bill and get a piece of that action? I mean, to pay for this? I mean, we just signed 3 licenses. Why can't the MBTA get some of that, some of those funds?
Actually, transportation does get some of that money, but that money is certainly not here yet, and we have a $161 million deficit beginning in July 1st. But we do get to share that money. I'm on numbers 36 through 40, is that right? Okay.
No, you're number 30, 35. What do you think about your next group?
All right, okay, thank you. Go ahead, sorry.
I'm Mariella Palermo from Lynn. Just want to say what a hardship already the transportation system in Lynn to get to Boston, get around Lynn is so inefficient and ineffective. I lived in Cambridge and Somerville before they got the red line, and before they had the red line, it was much easier to get into Boston from Cambridge or Somerville than it is currently in Lynn. Now, Somerville's getting also the green line. Medford, which only 57,000 people will have access to the orange and green line, where Lynn should have had the blue line long before they even got the orange line. In addition, now we only have one stop on the commuter rail. If there's an express train coming out of Boston, those of us in Lynn have to sit back and wait an extra half hour. This express means it doesn't stop in Lynn. Even though we're paying $151 a month for the commuter rail service, it skips over Lynn. Anytime coming out of Salem, if it's crowded, it skips over Lynn, and again, we wait another half hour for the next train. So in essence, we don't really have, during the express times, any service. If you eliminate on the weekends the commuter rail, people going to work will have no way to get into Boston. If you have the Suffolk Downs become a casino, we need the Blue Line even more, because how will we get to Boston with the increased traffic? We pay some $31 million a year to go over the Tobin Bridge, a good portion of that coming out of our pockets, paying the debt, paying for the roads for other people. We're paying some $400 million for the tunnels, and at that time, we get nothing. We should be getting bonuses and extra privileges for all that we give to the rest of the state in terms of tolls.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, my name is Jack Suswack, and I am a 29-year-old transit enthusiast and frequent rider of the MBTA who is currently unemployed. So I certainly know how the financial state is these days, and it's not for everybody, and I know the T is dealing with that today. But the idea of raising fares and cutting services that the people in the community would use is a big mistake. Currently, I do not drive, so I personally rely on the MBTA service to get me anywhere. For example, my last job was in Boston, by Government Center, as a U.S. Census Bureau employee, and I took the 450 to 434 to get to work every day. Now, that wasn't too bad of a commute, because it was a one-seat ride. But if you make the buses, eliminate the buses, or have the buses go to Wonderland, it becomes more of a one ride, longer, a lot of things happen. Another thing that bothers me a lot is at both scenarios, the 436 bus that goes from Central Square up Union Street, Chestnut Street to Linfield Street, then went all the way up to the malls and Puny Davis, will be totally removed. I feel strongly that this bus should be saved because it's a vital link to Lynn and Union Hospital. Also, Lynn relies on its direct link to the commuter rail to get residents into work, retail, travel, and necessary reasons. If you cut the services on nights and weekends, you couldn't go to a ball game at Fenway Park, a museum like Museum of Science, or anything like that. And the loss of business revenue due to these cuts would not help anyone. So I don't think these potential losses will overrule any potential savings for the MBTA. In conclusion, I understand the T is in dire straits right now, but I feel like these proposals would not work and it would not help everybody, and we need to reconsider that. Thank you and have a nice night.
My name is David Rutter, and I'm a student filmmaker from Lynn. I've relied on the MBTA my entire life because I, don't feel like getting a car. And on average, I and most of my other friends that travel to Boston to go to school spend about $1,000 a year on the MBTA. Now, when you're making $100,000 salaries, that really doesn't seem like a lot. But when you're spending $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 to go to school, another $1,000 to $2,000 really adds up a lot in the long run when you've got bill collectors coming after you. Now, quite frankly, the idea of getting rid of the services on the weekends and after 10 p.m. is probably the dumbest thing I've ever heard of when I first heard about that. I'm thinking, is it April Fool's Day already? I mean, come on. If you want to do that, I guarantee you will see what hell looks like when the economy crashes. And quite frankly, that's all I've got to say about that.
Thank you. Now need number 41 through 45 to make their way. I need 36 through 40 to make their way.
Hi, my name is Gary Barrett, and I'm here representing the North Shore Alliance for Economic Development. My name is Gary Barrett, and I'm here representing the North Shore Alliance for Economic Development. We're a non-profit entity that represents 30 communities on the North Shore, stretching from Saugus to Newburyport and as far east as Rockport and Gloucester. You'll hear plenty more from individuals that are affected by the proposals that you have before us. We've recently heard from Secretary Davey at a recent meeting, as well as Senate President Murray. We understand that there's a revenue problem for the T. Please find a solution. What we want to point out is this proposed cut and fare increase has a great impact on the economic development of this region. The region is dependent upon tourism from Lynn to Newburyport and Rockport and Gloucester. There have been private investments by the Commonwealth as well as private businesses. For example, in Ipswich, businesses invested in shuttle service from the Ipswich train stations on weekends to and from Essex tourist sites to bolster those economies off the beaten path. Communities like Lynn, Salem, Beverly have made investments in smart growth building policies encouraged by the Commonwealth. Don't breach those promises. Please find a solution to this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jim Davies from Beverly. We use the commuter rail often on weekends and evenings, and there's no other way really to get in town. That would preclude attending any kind of entertainment in Boston. Anything finishes too late to get a 10 o'clock train. It would preclude going in weekends for activities of any sort if they were to enact these cuts proposed. I think the crisis is in the legislature. They have failed to address this problem. They think they can dump it off forever on the MBTA and let them solve their own problems. The debt came as a result of action of the legislature, and I think it's the legislature's job to clean this up and not to cut services particularly. Thank you.
Okay, now I need 41 to 45 to make their way up.
Good evening. My name is Katie Shoemaker, and I want to tell you that I moved to Lynn from a Metro West community that has no transportation because I got rather tired of riding my bicycle 2 miles to the train station in the next town, despite weather. Heat, snow, sleet, rain, it didn't matter. So I moved to a community where I would have the opportunity to ride safely and comfortably. For 2 years, I rode the buses from Lynn to Newton. It took me 2 hours each way, every day, and it didn't really matter which set of buses or train schedules I used. But I was willing to do that just for the comfort and safety. Now we're going to be cut off as I was in that Metro West community, where if I didn't ride my bicycle, I didn't go anywhere. Please don't do this to us. Please, MBTA, legislature, administration, find a better way.
Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Raymond Gagnon. I live here in Lynn, Massachusetts. When I was working, I was taking the T in, driving my car to Wonderland Station and taking the Blue Line in. I was just going to say, it's going to keep continuing just about every year that this T is going to be running through a deficit. And everybody in the North Shore is going to be paying for this left and right. Maybe the best thing that the people in the North Shore can do is get another transportation system in here that can do the job that the T can't do. That's all I've got to say.
My name is Will. I'm from Lynn, and I believe that everyone who has made their comments have a point. I think the problem is extremely complex. I think it's bigger than the MBTA and the state legislature. I like to recommend everyone present to watch a YouTube movie that's a documentary called The Zeitgeist Moving Forward. And the reason is we have, not mentioned tonight, the real serious problem of our oil, right? We're addicted to oil, and it's being depleted faster and faster. So what we have as a problem presently is only going to get worse. Half of the nation is in trouble because we fall under what's called the low poverty level. But that's not the real issue. The real issue is what kind of energy system are we going to have in place to take care of the whole population. And so presently we are addressing these problems as if we were Band-Aids. We need a holistic approach that's going to cure not just the symptoms, but the real core of the problem.
Thank you. Now, number 41 through 45, could make your way down. Oh, I'm sorry, 46 through 50, I'm sorry.
Hello, my name is Caitlin Huebner. I'm a resident of Saugus. I'm a student at North Shore Community College here in Lynn and a member of Massburg. And more importantly, I'm really horrified at this proposal by the MBTA, especially at the way that these fare increases sort of slap students and seniors in the face. There's just no way for students and seniors to absorb the kind of cost that you're proposing. As a full-time commuter student, I know that I certainly can't. I'm already struggling to, make the prices that are required now, and I'm sure many others are as well. Not to mention, as a full-time student, I don't have very much time to work, and so I'm stuck. And I need tea when I do go to work because I go to catering gigs all over the Boston area. So I'm in sort of a catch-22, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. You said before that the reason the students and seniors are facing such high fare increases is partially at least because they are currently only paying 33% of the total fares. And I don't really see how that's unfair. The students are our investment in our future, and the seniors have been paying up and contributing to our community their entire lives. And I think now is a time when the MBTA should be paying it back and paying it forward, rather than taking out their problems on people who do not contribute to them, and coming up with more innovative and considerate ways to try and improve their situation.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Donovan Pickler. I live in Saugus, and I'm here with Massburg. I'm a full-time student and a worker. I rely on the T for everything. I can't afford a car. I rely on the Saugus. There are only 4 bus lines. One of your proposals looks to eliminate 3 of them, and weekend service for the last 1. It goes without saying that doing something like that in a town that doesn't even have access to the commuter rail is devastating to that town and the towns around it. Aside of that.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Amy Saunders, and I'm from Lynn. I've been riding the bus since I started here in Massachusetts, which is a good 10 years. I've ridden it as a passenger when I'm going to work. I've ridden it as a disabled person as I am now. Now, your proposals, Proposal A and Proposal B, or whatever you want to call it. Proposal 1 is basically you're getting rid of the 436 and the Beverly Salem bus. And if you do that, we will not be able to see anybody in Beverly Hospital. And Beverly Hospital is a very good hospital to go to hospital to get the babies done and everything like that. Another thing that is on Plan B, you guys are taking out all the hospitals. You can't do that. I'm disabled and I've never